Thunder! 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 Thundercats! Ho!
We are back with Thundercats reviews here on the Radical Retro Rewind. As always, it is I, Ryan, along with David. Ho!
Thundera! Thundera!
We finally got to Willa, Warrior Maiden.
You can't trust a cat.
Oh my god. We continue with Third Earth and their
strange inhabitants.
Yes. Before we get into that, some of you might have noticed that we are indeed doing double Thundercats from now on every last Friday of the month. This was suggested by one of our listeners, Craig. Thank you so much for listening every week and actually, letting us know that you'd appreciate to hear these beautiful voices more.
We're so excited. I'm really happy that you're enjoying it and really excited. Just hoping that you'll enjoy the content. It's really exciting when other people get your sense of humor and your style and your vibe and everything like that, because you never know when you record stuff who's actually going to enjoy it and who's not. So again, really excited, and very true that if we only did one
episode, yeah.
But listen, that's longevity.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, how many times? I think we said it the last time we recorded. You're like, we're going to be doing one until the rest of my life. So this is definitely, and for any other Thundercats fans out there, we're toying with possibly doing more. Maybe it will be a Saturday morning, every other Saturday kind of thing. It's definitely a lot more shows for us to do, but of course we want to do the content that wants to be heard. So we're definitely open to that. We're starting with the 2 now every last Friday of the month.
Definitely. We're definitely, if everyone is really down with it, we're definitely thinking about doing more, or doing a block of them, or even maybe we could do a Thundercat month. Who knows?
Ooh.
We could figure it out. And everybody knows that there is a movie coming out.
Oh,
well,
yes.
Who doesn't know? Not everybody, because everybody should know that's alright. No.
It did blow up the internet, though. I mean, people are excited.
We're excited about it, and I think it goes hand in hand with what we're doing, because clearly the interest in the movie kind of relates to the fact that it's something that we like to see, and other people that are like-minded.
The movie was announced, so the Thundercats are on the move after years of false starts and announcements. Actually, I do want to note that there was a CGI Thundercats movie that actually began production, and there was a clip of it. They only made like a 2-minute thing to present to WB back in the day, but it wasn't picked up. It used to leak out on I don't know if it's still floating around. I should check that out. But this is going to be directed by Godzilla vs. Kong director. His name is Adam Wingard. The good thing about this, David, is he is a lifelong Thundercats fan. He actually said he was made fun of in school for loving Thundercats and doing projects on them at one point. So the fact that this kid was actually writing about Thundercats in school, I think we might be in store for actually...
But was he attracted to the particular Thundercat?
Oh, did he want his fantasies?
When he was a little lad.
It says the movie will be the 80s cartoon brought to life. He does not want it to be only accessible to kids. He's suggesting that kids will love it, but he wants to make a movie for everybody, especially those who grew up with the original series. We're the ones spending the money on the products right now. I mean, honestly, they're coming out with Thundercats action figures continuously.
Shoes.
They're sold out. So that was only a few days. He says, I want this to feel like when you watch it, you're watching the actual 80s cartoon brought to life. I mean, that alone is like music.
Please, as long as it's not cats.
He does say he does not want it to look like cats, so they're working on some kind of something.
I wonder what they could do with that. Could they do like a hybrid sort of a thing, like they're cat-ish people, but more like maybe they have like their teeth, their eyes, their ears are kind of elongated, where they're more fuzzy looking, furry, like kind of not completely like, let me put on a leotard and a unitard and a cattail and...
Well, okay, David, but don't you think this could be done, even with practical effects? If you make those characters...
Well, Wolverine, okay, let's say Wolverine. So that big Wolverine hair with the extra body hair where
Tygra.
he's more humanoid, but he he is still a Wolverine. So maybe something to that effect. Their colors are represented, like the blues that Lionel wears, and Chitara can wear, the yellowy, orange, gold, and whatever else. Make it like on par with that. Scooby-Doo, okay? Scooby-Doo, yes. You know who Daphne is not only because of her signature orangey red hair, but because of the purple, and you know that Fred wears the white shirt with Asgard, and you know what I mean? So when you look at, like, you could look at somebody walking down the street on Halloween and point out the Scooby Gang because of just the colors they're wearing. Do you know what I mean?
Velma, Jinkies.
Jinkies.
But to me, they don't need to reinvent the wheel, which is what they always do with these things.
What are they going to do with Mum-Ra?
Oh, well, he better be terrifying. Terrifying.
Frothy. They should get Robert Englund.
Honestly, not the one who played Freddy in the remake.
No, they should get Robert Englund if he wants to do it as the mummy Mum-Ra, not as the super transformation.
It's probably going to be CGI, unfortunately.
But he would be amazing. I mean, if he's still half as, I don't know how old he is. I just throwing it out there. He is, when he played Freddy Krueger, he just did it in such a snarky, sarcastic, but scary way. I think he'd be totally perfect for our version of Mum-Ra anyway, that Karen that Mum-Ra is.
I can't wait to see how they come up with him. But honestly, to me, you can make those characters look like they are on the film. And it's a movie. This is what we do. We suspend reality. That's why Gem failed. It could have been a campy looking 80s themed movie, which is what this is going to be. But instead, they chose to have YouTube and teenage.
And they chose to have Kesha with Muppet eyelashes in the last 5 seconds of the movie. You should have started off with that.
So we are excited about that. Of course, I guess we were ahead of the game by the time this movie gets in production. I mean, there's a script written.
I want everybody to know we were the trendsetters that started doing a Thundercats podcast, not all these other people. No, I'm only kidding.
Well, you never know. It might be I don't feel like
I
don't think there's one that's strictly doing it episode by episode. So we might have been ahead of the game.
We're not those people. Listen, the more the merrier. Just don't rip off our concepts, okay? Which is stuttering over words. Talking guttural New York English and generally making
barely getting out a synopsis.
Yes, and barely talking about the content we're supposed to be talking about. But anyway.
Which actually brings us to today's episode, The Trouble with Time, episode 107, which aired on September 17th of 1985. We haven't gotten into 1986 yet, but we'll be there. We'll be there. David, we spoke about it at the end of our last episode. We both remember loving this episode. You mentioned that it definitely sets up your love of Chitara and her character and her powers. It also sets up more Third Earthians with the Warrior Maidens.
Willa!
Queen Willa! So... this actually, we start right off. We find out that, again, and as always, I want to thank the Thundercats Wikipedia for the synopsis that helps me remember what actually happened to guide us through this. So, complaining about the food that is being served by the reptilian cook, we meet the reptilian cook, which is a blue-looking, thin lizard.
Yeah, like a salamander or something, just on 2 feet, right?
Very silent, serves with a spoon. The mutants are arguing among themselves. Monkeyan, who is the most vocal about the state of their cuisine, proposes that they need slaves, cooks, and servants to improve the things in Castle Plundar. Satisfied with his suggestion, Slithe instructs Monkeyan to bring back a few worthy specimens, proposing that a woman's touch is what is required. Reluctantly, Monkeyan complies to leave. Okay, so Monkeyan actually says the most intelligent thing here, and he's supposed to be the idiot of the group. He says, chauvinist reptile.
He does say that? I didn't catch that because I was going to say that.
I went back twice, and I read the subtitles too, and he says, chauvinist reptile. Wow. And then Slithe goes, what did you say?
Oh my god, that's amazing.
But it's so funny because Monkeyan, out of everybody, would be the most buffooning, like, oh, well, we need slaves, like he just said. But you know what? He's an equal opportunist enslaver. He don't just want women, he'll take men, women, children, creatures.
Brute men.
Oh, the poor brute men.
Poor
They're probably still in that room, just sitting in there. In the forest, he comes across Nada. Nada?
What?
Is that how you say her name?
Nada?
No. Nida?
None of this and none of that.
Nida. Let me have Siri speak her name. But why don't I remember
I don't
her
remember
name?
her name. I know Willa.
I know Willa, but Nida?
Oh my god. You need to leave this in the podcast. Nada.
Here we go.
Pronouncenames.com. Naida.
Naida?
Naida.
That's not how we say it.
Oh, whatever. It's another warrior one. You only usually see the two. It's Willa and her sidekick.
Her
Nala.
actual
Nala.
sister. But
It's a Lion King.
Nadia? Okay, how would you say this name?
Nada.
Maybe it's Nada. N-A-Y-D-A. Nada?
Nada. I would say Nada. I don't remember what does she actually say it to her, like when they're having their conversation, when they're having
They
their...
must. I think it's Nada. I think it is Nada. You're right. In the forest, he comes across Nada,
And
who's
Willa.
fishing in the river.
Oh, no, it's just
But
her, right?
Monkey quickly grabs... Yeah, he grabs her and starts fleeing. Monkey and grabs her, and the animation is amazing. He's got her but in the water, and he's already down in the tree. Like, he just ran with her. He ran with her under her arm. But her sister, her elder sister, the queen of the warrior maidens, Willa, arrives at the
Queen
scene.
Willa.
I can't wait till we get to that. Using her bow and arrow, she rescues her sisters and sends Monkey in running with his tail between his legs. Angered by the event, the two maidens comment on how the arrival of the mutants and the Thundercats of Third Earth had disturbed their lives. Nada, even goes as far as to suggest that they rid themselves of the alien race. So David, Mumra's not the only one with issues on Third Earth.
Well, listen, they're a band of warrior women that don't take any nonsense from men. There was this monkey man that was trying to kidnap them, and ever since they've been on Third Earth, these people, they've caused problems. I mean, I have to admit, you have to think that Mumra really didn't get too involved in anything on Third Earth. It alludes to the fact that Mumra has been kind of just chilling out in the pyramid for so long, sleeping and not doing anything. He's in pandemic mode. He hasn't left the pyramid. There's no reason for him to leave. So he's probably stirring up problems. I mean, I don't think that Mumra has actively been attacking the Burbles before the Thundercats got there.
I don't. I think you're right. I think he was in a slumber, and they're assuming that all this action has happened because they got the two crashes, probably, and then
they say that they can't trust. You can't trust cats.
Well, that is ridiculous. First off, Nida, she's like, do they all look like those monkey types? She don't want no monkey types. Willa's like, as we like to say, she ain't the one to gossip, but she saw them in the distance, and they look like cats.
You know, I hate litter boxes.
Nada says, well, let's rid ourselves of these cats. What? And they're just like, okay. So
now I want to know, do the warrior maidens know about the Burbles, and would they talk to the Burbles and say, the Burbles say they're helping us and protecting us? Like,
they know of the Burbles, right? Because they said they crashed by the Burble village, the other group. Those other groups of aliens.
Those teddy bears. We don't bother with the teddy bears either. Anything that looks like an animal.
Do you know, David, in Thundercats Roar that was canceled, the warrior women were literally bodybuilding women that were all like this and screamed. So they were women.
Well, there's also that, like, when you think of barbarian days,
that's what they look like, yeah.
You think about, like, Conan. I think of Grace Jones, hardcore women that will just destroy you. Like, us type of guys would be killed instantly by the warrior women because we're soft. Those are hardcore women. They've had to deal with, but, you know, when you look at, again, this is an ongoing theme. Even, like, when The Walking Dead, there was, like, because the men were all killed.
It was an island of women, right? Is that what you're, Riverside?
Yeah, because, well, I know the men and the boys were all killed, but it doesn't matter. There was still, like, this whole persona, these strong warrior women. Of course, insert lesbian joke, ha ha ha. Of course, insert man-hating, Lilith Fair, whatever you want to say, you know, kind of like, well, listen, I'm old, so Lilith Fair. I remember going to Lilith Fair, so. I remember going to Ozfest, too. But anyhow, the B-52s opened up for Ozzy, by the way, one day. It was so good.
What a weird combo for...
I love the B-52s. We should just
do it for Ozzy, though? But I love that anyway.
Hey, they're funky. The fact is that they are viewed as a threat because they have brought issues.
And they've owned these jungles, as they like to say, for countless generations. I don't know how they populate their forest, but all is quiet at Cat's Lair until Lion-O develops the urge to take the Thundertake for a spin by himself. Ignoring Snarf's warning, the young lord jumps into the driver's seat and puts the tank in motion. But the powerful machine quickly gets out of hand, and it speeds around mechanically, jumping, pounding, turning, reversing. All this noise attracts Panthro, who manages to leap into the thunder tank and put on the brakes, stopping it inches from the edge of a cliff. So David, this is one instance that I did notice there is a little continuity issue where 2 episodes ago, Lion-O already knew how to drive the thunder tank because they were waiting for Chitara to come home, remember, with Pumbaa.
Yes, I was going to tell you that is something that I had an issue with because Panther said that Lion-O took to the thunder tank like a fish to water or something like water.
Yeah.
So there's kind of an issue of continuity there, or an issue of, unless Lion-O proved that he took to a fish to water, but then he kind of regressed back. Who knows?
Or this is his continuing driving lessons. Panthro jumps himself.
Panthro's like, I am going to kill whoever touched my thunder tank. He's like,
tank theft.
He's thinking that it's, I don't know, one of the
probably
slide.
Panther is very angry with Lion-O, and for good reason, as he goes to explain that by joyriding, Lion-O is using up Thundrillium, their main fuel source, of which they have precious little left. They have to find a new source of Thundrillium very soon in order to refill their dwindling supplies. To me, why didn't the Burbles... I mean, it turns out that they are able to get Thundrillium, but wouldn't the Burbles engineering know that they're not able to... The Burbles must have some kind of power source for their own village.
No, they're Ewok. This is Ewok village. They have candles. They have candles and they farm. And when it's nighttime, they probably go in their huts. Nighttime.
We have no power. Panthro invents a Thundrillium detector, a small handheld gadget that enables one to track the source of Thundrillium. Each Thundercat takes one detector and heads off into a different direction to begin their search. Unaware that Monkeyin had been secretly listening to their conversations from a nearby bush, he informs Slive about the Thundrillium's fuel shortage, and the mutants head out to make sure that the cats fail in their quest. So, Monkeyin is very active today, and we get a very full plotted episode with this, David, because we didn't even get into the main plot of this episode, and we're already have set up the warrior maidens, their conversation about the aliens needing Thundrillium, and the plot that mutants are coming, to stop them from getting the source. So there's a lot happening in this episode.
I like this episode, really good.
So deep in the woods, Lion-O hears strange noises, and upon investigating, runs into Willa, who is at the mercy of a Lizathan, a gigantic dinosaur. Has a Fu Manchu-like mustache-ish, kind of. The dinosaur had I
don't remember that.
Whiskers. He had whiskers, I'll say.
I know the feeling.
A gigantic dinosaur. She pelts the beast with a variety of her arrows, but no avail. Finally, Lion-O steps in and scares off the monster by using the claw shield to reflect the sun's rays. It wasn't his monstrous sight that repelled the dinosaur. It was the rays of the sun. Despite Lion-O's attempts to befriend her, Willa remains doubtful.
She's a man-hater, I hate to tell you. She's kind of a man-hater. This is where, again, insert man-hating lesbian joke, I am woman, hear me roar. I mean, I understand it, but at the same time, it's off-putting. Her character's off-putting like that, because we know and love the Thundercats, of course, because we know they're the source of good, but I can understand if you're in a group, think about Diana and Wonder Woman on Themyscira, and when you think of man, you always think of destruction and issues and violence, so, yeah.
And they don't like cats, evidently, either. They have a thing against... They can't be trusted.
We only like dogs. Willa. Nada. Nada. We only like dogs.
God, I hope they make Warrior Women action figures finally. After all these years, there was never 80s ones. Can we get Queen Willa? Lion-O tries to befriend her. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, David, I think she's got a little, curiosity in her tone. She's like, Lion. Oh.
I had a curiosity for Lion-O too.
Yes. I think she's taken. She sees him. She sees man, but she's kind of like, well, he's a cat, but he kind of really.
Is he anatomically correct?
There's nothing really man. There's nothing really cat about him besides those nails.
Oh my God.
And that hair.
Listen.
And he's like, well, at least tell me your name. And she's like, Willa. She's not having
She's
it.
Like,
She's not having it. Well, she gets to Nada, and she's like, well, how were they? And she's like, cats can always be trusted. What?
Well, listen, cats can't always be trusted. The cat from the last unicorn, the Cheshire cat, they're always mischievous. All funny aside, you do get the sense that these women are very powerful. They're used to
Well, yeah, they've been
but
taking
I will
care
tell
of
you one
themselves.
thing. I just feel like everybody on Third Earth is over dramatic. I have to be honest. Mumra is the most dramatic with his HOA issues. How dare you come to this planet? Like, okay, get over it. This is the most interesting thing that's happened to you in
Women said the
1,000
same
years. This is the
thing.
most interesting thing that's happened
That's
to you in
true.
1,000 years. The bubbling cauldron pool. I'd be watching.
Yes.
Oh, Chitara, how dare you put that in your? You look horrible. What's wrong with you? What were you thinking?
She's running again around my mountain, my trees. But the warrior women are just as bad, David. This is our land.
But also,
our
this feeds
land.
into the many lessons that we learned from these cartoons, where not to judge somebody. Like when the Burbles first meet Lion-O, when they trap him, and then you think they're going to hurt him with the little pocket knife thing that we laugh about, the little dagger. Don't judge a book by its cover, sort of a thing. But yeah, you do get the sense that the warrior women could do without having all this interference from these other people.
Man, the main story finally. The Thundrillium detector.
What story? I have two things to say. The Thundrillium detector has the Thundercats symbol on it. Everything, it's like they brand everything, which is very smart if you're trying to sell stuff. Brand everything. Panther's like, I made up these Thundercat shirts for the Burbles to buy.
It's like the iPhone, Apple. Yeah, it's like the Apple logo.
Apple symbol. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is, and I think I brought this up once before in another podcast, correct me if I'm wrong, when Saturday Night Live did the skit where He-Man and Lion-O appear for the kid's birthday, and the mother goes in the hot tub with him, and then She-Ra comes out, Ariana Grande as She-Ra. Like, oh, you were freak too, come on. Again, that just shows you pop culture that's still relevant. He-Man, Thundercats.
I think the people who grew up in our generations are now writing
That's
things.
why everything is, like,
and
all
then,
the commercials now are 80s music, 90s music, all that. But anyway, they're gonna find Thundrillium, they're running out. The mutants say, hey, we're gonna stop them from getting a source of power, which is ultimately going to destroy them. Without power, they can't run the Cat's Lair.
So Tygra
gets a very strong signal.
Comes across a cave with a very strong signal, which turns out to be the Cave of Time, because as we've said, everything has an issue and everything causes
everything is set to kill you
Earth.
in Third Earth. You can't. That's the Rock of Death. There's the Mountains of Despair. There's the Rains of Hell. There's not.
They can't just be cat people. They're like, they're cats, but they will kill us by their laser eyes.
Yeah, it's always something. There's never anything that is the pool of hatred. You will
Don't go in it! You'll hate yourself! Unaware of this, Tygra ages rapidly by going into the Cave of Time, growing older by the minute.
I know the feeling.
When he does realize the gravity of the situation,
he sees his reflection.
He becomes too frail to leave the cave.
Which is so weird to me, because I'm going to tell you something. Within the context of this show, even though I love it so much, he aged so rapidly that if he had fallen down and stayed there for another 10 minutes, he should have been turned to dust. He would have been Jaga but
honestly, I thought the same thing, but do you think, David, it's because it's as you go further and further? Could it have been that he just stopped at that age?
I don't know.
But I thought the same thing. I thought maybe if he would have crawled, but it doesn't work that way. It didn't reverse aging.
Lion-O gets the signal. Dun, dun, dun.
Meanwhile, Lion-O is attacked by the mutants who were lying in wait for him in the woods. This time, Willow, to return the favor, sends the mutants fleeing by firing them with sleep arrows. At that moment, Lion-O learns that Tygra's predicament from the Sword of Omen, sight beyond sight. Before he rushes off to save Tygra, Willa informs him it's not that way, and Jaga comes to him and lets him know that he should listen to what Willa has to say because she is a native of this land. Realizing that Chitara may be the only one who could save Tygra, Lion-O calls for the other Thundercat. Jaga appears to Lion-O, and Willa, I guess, sees him talking to somebody. So she's like, see? Cat people talking to themselves. But Jaga says that this is her land. She might know where to go. But basically, by listening to her, it will save Lion-O time. Chitara comes. This is what, because Willa says, if your friend went into the Cave of Time,
nobody's ever made it out. Once you go in, it's over.
Screwed.
It's over.
She says, it can't be done, Lion-O. It can't be done. But he's like, you haven't met Chitara. Chitara does come, and she's kind of like, so if I run fast enough, I should be able to avoid the times.
The effects of the time.
Which actually works. So Chitara is running in that cave. I love this. Tygra! Tygra! Look.
What's sad is that
Very, like, nonchalant.
poor Chitara, being originally coming to Third Earth in the time capsule, aged already. Now, could you imagine that she's got to age some more?
Yeah, you're
stop.
right.
She did stop, even though she stopped for a brief moment.
It didn't catch up with her. They didn't even know that the Cave of Time is on that slow broadband. It didn't catch up to the point of.
It's on dial-up still.
So Chitara races and retrieves Tygra. The cats are shook to see the aged Tygra. I like that because Panther's like, this is not Tygra.
No Tygra, I know.
Oh no, who is this man?
I don't know her. He Mariah Carey Tygra. I don't know her.
Chitara, get out, or you'll be like me.
I'm too fast to get caught by this place. I've got him.
Amazing. Not more than a few seconds.
This is not any Tygra that I know.
It is, Panthro. That cave did this to me.
Isn't there something we can do?
I know a way, but it will be difficult and dangerous.
Danger doesn't deter the Thundercats, Willa.
This ain't any Tygra that I know. Where's that man body? So, Willa then suggests that the waters of the geyser of life may be able to reverse Tygra's aging, and she leads them to it.
Can I get some of that? Because the tunnel of time really did a number on me so far.
Why didn't Mumra drink some of this?
Maybe it would mess up his mojo.
It would demummify him?
I'd be selling it as Burble Village as a novelty item. Have a drop of the Fountain of Youth.
I'm surprised she doesn't have it. Willa. She says, however, the geyser itself is fiercely protected, of course, it couldn't just be 1, 2, 3, by the winged water snakes,
Is that like the...
who won't let anyone pass.
Is that like when Shira has to go to the ruins and fight the water serpent creature for the old ruins?
Lion and Chitara create a distraction to draw the snakes away from the geyser, allowing Tygra to enter the waters and regain his normal age. So Panther takes him to a certain place. He has to go on his own. Willa don't want no one getting even an age younger. She's like, you must let him go.
She's like,
If you
go in, if any of you go in, it will look like you went to Dr. 90210 and had a facelift.
Yeah, you will become weaker.
But she's saying that you will revert back to childhood, which honestly,
I'm sorry, give me a minute.
I would like, give me a couple of drops. Can I drink it?
Because Tygra puts his little feet in the water, and he says when he comes out, I was almost tempted to stay in as long to look like Lionel.
I would have.
Don't we all want to look like Lionel? He got a body by sleeping in a capsule. The man didn't even exercise.
Yada 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 yada.
Willa she runs off while this is happening. So we kind of get the idea that she realizes that these are decent people. She might become a cat lady in the future. They don't realize because they said that they were too busy watching Tygra take his shower, Panthro says. Willa ran off. So a little facts about this episode. Mumra is absent from this episode as well as Wily Kit and Wily Cat. The twins are also missing from the previous episode, The Terror of Hammerhands, which we did mention. And this episode, we see for the first and last time the mutant's personal chef, Reptilian Cook. Poor Reptilian Cook.
I hope that they gave him a letter of recommendation.
Oh!
Like Prince Lear from The Last Unicorn.
The least he could do.
Maybe Monkey's like, you ignorant reptile, at least give him a letter of recommendation.
At least give him.
So, I gotta say, fantastic episode. Jam-packed.
So this set up for me Chitara as a main player because she has many abilities. She also was able to pick up Tygra, whether he was frail or not, hold him with one arm and carry him and run at her top speed to avoid Cave of Time's effects. So she's strong and she's fast and she's pretty fierce. And she's not scared of things. I've noticed
yes,
she's
right
not scared of anything, really.
But she's smart too. She's really a beautiful
She's
really
the triple threat.
Character.
Smart, beautiful, strong and fast abilities.
Kind.
And she's funny too. She's a little witty.
Yes, she's is.
Funny.
And she's psychically inclined as well. We'll get into
Get
that.
into that.
Amazing episode.
So we meet new characters.
My god, we have the Warrior Maidens and they're here to stay. Willa. Nida. Nida,
I think
Nada,
it's-
and
oh,
Willa.
God, we have to figure that out. How do we not know this? I just watched this thing like a couple of weeks ago.
I mean, we always remembered Willa. Even on my deathbed, I'll remember
Like,
Willa.
Willa!
Queen
The
Willa!
flowers over there, Willa!
So, Trouble with Time. Couldn't recommend this episode enough. Anything else?
No, I'm just excited to keep going. I'm excited to up our Thundercats game, so to speak, with 2 episodes, maybe more in the future. It's more character development. I like the fact that we're doing more character development. Like the last Hammerhand was a little bit more of snark character development. You saw that he is braver than they give him credit for, because he did want to help those unicorns and do everything. This is now setting up Chitara as a bad biatch.
We know that the Thundercats are going to now continue to need fuel for their devices because Monkey says if they run out of fuel, their fortress is useless, which is a little crazy to me because it still has walls and you still got...
Yeah, but think about this. Unless the Thunder Tank can jump that chasm if the drawbridge or whatever you want to say, the road gets pulled back and it dies, how do you get out of there?
Well, I don't want to spoil it, but I think the Sword of Omens also extends into a bridge an episode going forward, so...
It happened.
Keep that mode up, thing away. Oh, the burbles are here. Hello!
Throw the
State your business.
Put the candy fruit in the basket.
Get the candy fruit in the basket. So you can always reach us at Universal Appeal 2020, one word for David, and the podcast at Radical Retro Podcast, all one word on Instagram. You could also find us on YouTube, the Radical Retro Rewind Podcast, and prepare for even more kitty cat fun when we continue with Thundercats.
And you can reach Willa of the Warrior Maidens at the Radical Retro Rewind or Universal Appeal. Trante!
Not in my woods. Hashtag. Not in my forest.
Cat people.
God, I think her and Mumra actually would have been great friends to begin with. You don't like cat people?
Neither do I.
don't
We have so
like
much
them.
in common. I'm gonna swipe left.
Oh, I miss Mumra.
Oh, don't worry, he's back.
So, thank you again for listening to us. We will be back next month with even more. We'll be back. How?